So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you. And to give you a little bit about myself before I get started, I started this business as a class project in 2009, my senior year of college. And I never would have expected, number one, that I'd be in education. Going to sophomore year, my dream job was being a manager at Target. And through USC's curriculum, it took me on a whole nother life path. And now I'm like living my dream every day. In fact, a few months ago, I was working all day, went to bed, kept on working in my mind while I was asleep, woke up and continued what I've been doing in my dreams. It was a phenomenal experience. And looking back, I was able to connect all the dots because hindsight is always 20/20. And so what I've done is I've taken my professional experience as a college counselor, my personal experience from USC and other projects in business, and I've created a PowerPoint for you guys to show you guys how you can expedite your success by going through a lot of things that I went through, but with the foresight to expedite your doors open to wherever you want to get to. So tonight, we're talking about your life. And when we're talking about your future, there's three typical questions that most people have. Number one is, should I do what I'm good at? Should I do what I love? Or should I do what the market's going to pay me a lot of money to do? And so what essentially this talk is tonight is a talk about success. And when we talk about success, most people think success looks like this. Maybe you've seen this before, but in reality, success looks something more like this. And so in your life, as you go through your college career, you'll have a lot of different internship opportunities, but each internship that you get into will be a semester long. So you only have really maybe 3 or 4 opportunities to really get into a different career field before you kind of max out your time and you have to go to work for someone else. So what I'm going to show you today is not only how to get your choice right the first time, but we're going to talk about this metaphorical corporate ladder, and particularly how to see the end before you can begin, how to pick the right ladder to start climbing, and some insider tricks that I learned from some industry experts about how you can get from point A to point B the fastest, which deconstructs the entire myth of there being a corporate ladder in the first place. And I'll throw in some little like scientific and mathematical things that will show you that these ideas seem a little bit radical, but the application of these is actually being done in other kinds of applications, like for example in space and time. This is how scientists propose that you can bend space fabric to jump between vast amounts of distance in space, but the exact same principles can be used to go from intern nobody to CEO next thing you know. So when we talk about your dream job, 3 things you have to consider, like I mentioned before: what you love, what you're good at, and what the market will pay you to do. As you can see here, if you have a job that you love and you're good at it, but the market's not going to pay you to do it, you're basically the equivalent of like a 3rd Street performer in Santa Monica Mall. You're going to be very happy, but no one's really going to pay you to support that lifestyle. If you're very good at what you do, but the market's not going to pay you to do it well, if you're good at what you do, and the market's going to pay you to do it, but you don't love it, you're going to be very rich, but you'll be very bored. And in fact, when I graduated from USC, I had 4 of my classmates who got recruited by top 4 accounting firms. I think it was EY, PwC, and Deloitte. And within 2 years, each one of them had quit their $70,000 a year starting out job, which was actually pretty good. And they went to work for peanuts, at a startup company that was almost a no-name brand, because they just wanted to do something that they felt appreciated for, that they actually could exercise their talents and feel like they're actually working towards something that they enjoy. So you definitely can't underestimate the power of doing what you love. And if the market's going to pay you to do it, and you love it, but you're not necessarily good at it, you'll be like a guy who wants to play in the NFL but has no talent. It'll always be a pipe dream, but it will never materialize. So today, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the things you can do easy to make your dream job a win. So how we're going to do this is, a lot of times people will know maybe 2 of the factors out of the 3, but that's okay, because if we go back to algebra in high school, if we know 2 of the factors, we can always solve for z. So a lot of times, most of you guys in this room will probably have some idea of what you love or what you're good at, and the last thing you have to do is determine what the market is. But even if this model doesn't apply to you, after today's presentation and given the MBTI test that you guys took before today, you'll be able to work backwards. So I'm going to give you the right perspective, the right tools to get to where you want to go. So step 1. What do you love? And when we're talking about love, we're really talking about passion. And we have to differentiate between 2 kinds of passions. There's superficial passions, and then your more core intrinsic passions. And the way I like to explain the difference between the 2 is by using an analogy that I got at the Marshall School of Business. When I took my first entrepreneurship class, the professor walked in and he said, when most of you guys go to Home Depot and you buy a drill, what you're really buying is a hole. And whether it's the drill that's going to give you that hole, maybe a hand punch, or an owl, it doesn't really matter. You're going to buy whatever's going to do that job the best. And that same principle can be applied to jobs, because a lot of times what will happen is people will see a lot of different industries they can get into. For example, a chocolate company, social worker, a flower company like 1-800 Flowers, or jewelry. And on the surface, none of these things look connected at all. They look like totally different industries. But when you look at what connects them all, you'll see that all these jobs have to do with making people feel loved and appreciated. And that's what keeps people going, because when they go to work every day, they don't just see themselves making, flower boxes. They don't see themselves making chocolates. They see themselves making a product that people can buy for each other so that each person feels loved and appreciated. Same thing with these industries. Healthcare, health and fitness, financial advising, life coaching, seem totally different, but a little bit more related than before. But again, all these industries are dealing with elevating someone's quality of life. Air conditioning, cars, iPhone apps, TiVo. A lot of times people who want technology say that they don't really care what they do as long as they're being innovative. But the thing is, all these things deal with really just giving people more freedom and control over their lives. And no matter what you do, you can always be innovative in that context. For example, my business, when I started 3 years ago, college counseling wasn't, a new thing. It wasn't really a sexy industry. No one was really getting into it. There was already a saturated market of, house moms and ex-teachers and ex-admissions officers who were just filling the market. So we're just 3 students, just like you guys are, starting a business tomorrow. And that's, if I could show you my marketing material I showed to my classes at USC, you'll see that it's like you could probably do a better job if you guys started tomorrow. But by going through the marketing to our customers, we became one of the most innovative companies out there today, featuring a money-back guarantee that almost no one else is going to, rival. We do things like interdisciplinary studies, where we're bringing in lessons from like film writing and screenwriting, psychology, linguistics, principles that really don't have anything to do with college essay writing on the surface, but have everything to do with why we're able to reverse rejection letters and get people into top schools that they probably thought they had no chance getting into. So, quick little exercise. Let me see some hands and just tell me what your fields of interest are. Yes?
Video games.
Video games. All right, cool. So, why are you interested in video games?
Been playing them all my life since I was like 3. I'm always interested in them, learning about them. I watch like podcasts about it all the time, even the industry data and stuff like that.
All right, cool. What is it about the video games that like made you interested as a little kid?
I don't know. It was just fun, just made me happy, I guess.
And what was it about that made you happy particularly?
I guess getting immersed into another world or something.
Like a way to escape and kind of like simulate something that could never happen in real life, right?
And just being able to do cool stuff.
All right, cool. And so what just happened there was, when I was at USC, a lot of times we would always say, why are you doing your business? Well, we want to help people, we want to do this, or we want to do that. And our professor said is that when you look at what you want to do, like say video games, you have to do an exercise called the 4 whys, or the 4 renditions of why. Because 3M is one of the most innovative companies in the world. They make the Scotch tape, they make the Post-it notes, and every single time they have like a statement like, I like video games, what they do is they'll ask 4 different reiterations of the question why to find out what the true deeper cause is. Because what you'll end up finding out when you do that is that it's not that you like video games. The core issue, which is the core passion, is being able to entertain people in a way that allows them to escape to another world, or it's being able to give someone who maybe isn't maybe always like, not saying your case, but isn't always like satisfied with their opportunities, maybe isn't always satisfied with what their avenues are at school. It gives them a way to escape, and in some places like World of Warcraft, take on like a alter persona, which is why you have like I don't know if it's World of Warcraft or if it's there's some other video game where I was talking to a guy from Microsoft last night. They have 100,000 subscribers paying $10 a month, which he equated to like over a $10 million business. But the real value they're giving is not just a video game, it's giving people a way to escape to another world. And the employees who work on that game understand that. And so when they're building this, they're not just building video games, they're building a whole other universe. So when you guys take the MBTI, what you're going to do is you're going to see all these different fields, and I didn't know you'd be that far behind, so don't worry if you can't see this. But essentially, the way this works is that you have a 4-letter personality type, which I'll talk about later in the what you're good at section. And based on these personality types, you have specific work preferences and habits that you tend to lean towards. So based on those work habits, what the MBTI did was take a survey of people, a few thousand people who have your exact same personality type. And across different industries, they've actually surveyed what jobs are you the most fulfilled in, which ones are you moderately fulfilled in, and which ones are you the least fulfilled in. And I'll come back to this later because it's going to be relevant for you guys, but what you'll see, if you can read this off the bat, you'll see something that looks like this. So if you're an ESFP, and I'll explain what that means later, which is one of the personality types of which there are 16, it will say from order of most to least desirable, or at least, but these are like all 80% match or above. You'll be in farming, fishing, or forestry, protective services, building and grounds maintenance, construction and extraction, transportation, materials moving, installation, maintenance, and repair. And what most people do who have a personality type that comes back is that they'll be like, I'm a business major, that's the last thing I want to do, but that's what the test is giving me. Well, here's how to look through that, because like I mentioned before, what happens is the test is using those superficial passions to try to match you to what you want to do, but when we look between the lines and look beyond the test, you'll see that these things have there's connecting fabric between each one of these jobs, and once you find out what the core thing is that are driving people in each of these positions, you can apply those core things to any industry, and I'll show you how. We'll do an example right now. So, for example, farming, fishing, and forestry, what do those roles have in common? They're all about cultivating growth. When you talk about protective services, what you're really talking about is protecting something's existing value. Building and grounds maintenance, you're really talking about working within a system, again, to preserve what you already have. Construction and extraction, you're building something new, or you're clearing the way for something new to be built. And transportation and materials moving, you're just like UPS, FedEx, you're dealing with logistics. So installation, maintenance, repair, what does that also mean? You like working with tangible items. And if this is your personality type, what you'll see in your MBTI report is a much thorough breakdown of why these jobs came back at you. And it's because each of these roles, even if they seem totally foreign or not attractive at all, they're still embodying those core elements of what's going to flip your switch intrinsically and make you feel fulfilled. So that like the chocolate or flower company, whether you're doing chocolate, flowers, or social work, you're still making people feel loved and appreciated every day. Or in this sense, you're still being able to deal with logistics and movings of things. So for example, when you put all these things together, I'm sorry it's so light, but a common thread starts to emerge between all these different jobs. And what you can see now is that if you were to take this role and apply it to some industry that didn't return for you, you can do this exact same thing in arts and entertainment. For example, if you're doing equipment rentals, or like one guy I met at USC, he has a business where all he does is like, at EDC, those huge, massive stages, he rents the equipment, the lighting, the sound systems, and he just deals with the moving of that, from Arizona to New York, Phoenix, wherever they have to go to get that work, but he can still be in the space. So he's doing what he loves, which is like the kind of technical moving of, equipment, but he's able to do it in a space like entertainment and technology that is what he always wanted to get into in the first place. And there's also one extra thing that's kind of like a wild card. So when you're talking about what you love, say you like to help people, how do you say this? There's a lot of ways to help people, but not all of them will make you feel fulfilled. And the best way I can explain this is that imagine that bar as a standard of normalcy. And you can either bring someone up who isn't whole to being whole, or you can take someone who's already whole and make them better than they could have ever been. So one way I can explain this is that if you're talking about a reactive role in helping people, you'll be more like a therapist. Someone's been damaged and you're trying to help them gain some sense of like themselves and get back to normal health. If you want to be a proactive person, you probably wouldn't feel happy dealing with people who are damaged or broken or in need every day. You want a much more happier, proactive environment, which is actually more of like what I am. So what I like to do is deal with people who want to become the best versions of themselves, which this could be like, consulting. This could be tutoring depending on who your client is.